When you heard the news, how surprised were you?
Yeah, I was obviously shocked. It's a big decision for someone to make, and I'm just grateful that the Prime Minister did change his decision, and he understood, and I spoke to him earlier on today and just thanked him for that, and yeah, it was a nice conversation to have with him, and just that we understood each other.
How did that chat go? What does he phone up and say, "Hi Marcus, it's Boris"?
Yeah, no, he was just obviously saying thank you for using what I've sort of built in a positive manner, and we was just thanking each other really, because he didn't have to do what he done, and neither did I. So he was just grateful that someone had basically just had an opinion and shared it with people, and just been that voice for people that didn't really have the platform to speak out as much as they would like to.
Are you aware that the way Boris Johnson was informed about your campaign was he was actually played the interview that we did the other night?
Yeah, he mentioned that on the phone, and he just said that's what sort of moved him really, because he probably understood it a little bit more, like hearing it from someone rather than just reading it or hearing about it. So I think that was obviously a key factor in him changing his decision.
That must make you feel like you've achieved an incredible thing.
Yeah, it's a nice feeling, but I'm just more happy that people's lives and people's summers especially are going to be changed for the better. So that was the important thing that I tried to change going into it, and coming at the end of it now, it's something that it's obviously a proud moment.
You must have been contacted by so many people. Which of those stories stick in your mind? What are the things that you remember the most?
It's just some of the after effects that it can lead to. Some people aren't sleeping, and they can't do the normal things that they do day to day, purely because they're thinking about where the next meal's going to come from for the kids, and it gets to a stage where they're not even thinking about themselves anymore, and that's the bit that gets to me really, and lack of sleep, and they can't follow what they've been dreaming of doing, work related or whatever it may be. That's what affected me and made me want to help.
So you heard the news just after you came off the training pitch. What have your colleagues at Manchester United been saying, your teammates? Have they said anything to you about this campaign?
Yeah, they've all been obviously interested and just asking questions about it, and mentioned before, people want to make change, and sometimes like I was, you don't know the ins and outs of certain situations, and the amount of people that it's actually affecting, so they're just asking general questions like that and just trying to gain an understanding of it, which is definitely positive, because that's what you need to do. You need to sort of raise awareness to people who don't know.
Do you feel like you might be able to lead other people in your position to a place where they can speak up about things that they believe in?
Yeah, I think I've touched on that, especially about like our generation of players in our sport. It's becoming more normal that people speak out in topics that they believe in, and I think it's just positive for the future as well. We look at the generations after us. Hopefully, it becomes a normal thing, and people actually want to do that and put themselves forward to do that.
So that's your teammates. What support have you had from the wider world, the wider community? Because I know lots of people, also with very high profiles, have been in touch and been supporting you. Who have you heard from?
Do you know what? There's been loads of people, but the thing that surprises me the most is people that usually in football you don't really get to connect with. I've had all types of different people sort of getting in contact, and that's what makes it like feel like it's actually like it's real, and sort of that connection between people is what makes the world go round. So it's definitely a positive thing that it's not only football fans are reading it and learning about it. Everybody is. So
you've had huge messages of support from people like Liverpool Football Club, from Manchester City Football Club, people who would be your rivals on the pitch, and yet the campaign that you started seems to transcend all of that, you must feel incredibly proud of what you've done.
Yeah, I'm just happy that people understand that it's, you know, in the world that we live in our sport, it's always been football, football, football. And sometimes there's situations that come up that are sort of, you know, it puts football aside for a moment, and this was one of them situations really. And yeah, you just that's the type of support that you want for the country to be a better place, and it's definitely positive that them names have, you know, come forward and said, sort of congratulated.
Never mind the big names. Your mum, obviously, we talked at length about your mum the other night. What's she said to you about the decision?
She's rang me about 10 times today. No, she's just very happy, and you know, if someone, when she was going through it, if somebody would have spoke out about it, then maybe the situation would have been different. And I think she's just happy that now people that are going through it, you know, people are aware of that now, and they're going to try and help them as much as they can. So she's just happy that you know, we're taking steps in the right direction.
And when you started this campaign, I think it was only 5 days ago.
Yeah.
Who were you thinking of? Were you thinking of your family, or was there, you know, were you just thinking of, you know, the families of fans? Who was it in your mind?
Just, you know, obviously the areas that I've grew up in, I know a lot of different people and a lot of families that would have still been going through it now. And it's not so much about my family anymore, because obviously the situation's changed, and I just don't want people to go through the same thing. So it's just important to understand where, like, the place that I come from and my background, and then it's quite simple really, that the reason why I would try and help people that are in that situation.
You now have a really powerful voice. You've achieved this incredible thing in such a short space of time. You have a platform, a lot of attention focused on you. What is your next focus? Now you've done this, what's next?
I think it obviously, this is only going to be successful throughout the summer period, and then you know, we've bought ourselves an extra 6 weeks of time there to sort of plan and figure out what's next and how we keep taking steps forward, because I don't want it to be, I don't want this to be the end of it, you know, because there's definitely more steps that need to be taken. So we just need to analyse the response, and things like data in these type of topics are very important. And like I said before, it's something that I wasn't aware of beforehand, and now that I am aware of that, I'll definitely be watching that closely and just seeing the response, and you know, how people cope with the situation, how it changes their lives for the better, or the problems that they might face with the system. So there's a lot of things that could change in the future and beyond this campaign. But you know, we'll have to just see how it affects everyone.
I'm guessing then that you would like this to continue, not just for this summer, but for...
Yeah, definitely, because like summer's just a period where people struggle, but other people are struggling all year round. So there's, you know, we still need to learn more about the situation that people are in and how we can help them best. That's what's important.
What's the best message you've received today?
Probably them calls from my mum, to be honest. I think that's probably the ones that are most important to me, and it's just nice to see her smiling.
Marcus Rashford, thank you very much.
No problem, thank you.
I think Mel Rashford will be one proud mum this morning. Interesting to note, he said there, this isn't the end of it. Marcus Rashford is very much engaged in the free school meal over the summer. Obviously, he's engaged with it at every level. He is interested now in perhaps broadening the type of supermarket that vouchers go to. He says that perhaps there's not a wide enough range of supermarkets you can use those vouchers at. Perhaps changing the type of food that is given out in schools, making that a little bit healthier. As I said, engaged at every level on this. So expect a little bit more from him. And there's been a huge reaction, obviously, on social media, with many people praising Marcus. On Instagram, former England and Manchester United player David Beckham posted this picture of Rashford with the caption, "Congratulations, what an amazing achievement to win this fight. You should be so proud," and will have inspired many others to use their voices. John Bishop, big Liverpool fan. He put football rivalry aside to congratulate Marcus. Well done, he wrote on Twitter. Says everything about you and the fact that people in this country intrinsically know what is the right thing to do. And the broadcaster, Carol Vorderman, shared her own experience. She wrote, I was a free school meal child through the 60s. I remember being hungry and my mum crying with exhaustion, working every hour she could. And one of the most powerful things Marcus Rashford, I think, has done over the last few days is he has managed to take away the element, I think, of sometimes shame and embarrassment that kids and families had about having to use the free school meals system. Some families didn't want their kid to be on the list for it because they felt it was an embarrassing thing. I think he's completely blown that apart now, and I am really looking forward to whatever Marcus Rashford decides to do next.
Well, if anyone was watching Sal at 7:10 this morning, that's exactly the point that was made by a mum of 4, Jane, on this programme, saying there was that stigma, and she really feels that what's been discussed this week and what's been sort of pushed through by Marcus Rashford and others has really changed that conversation. And it's lovely, Carol Vorderman there talking about mums, and he's laughing about the fact that his mum rang him 10 times yesterday, and all that praise, Sal. The most important thing to Marcus Rashford is the fact that his mum's proud of him.
Yeah, and someone said to me yesterday a really interesting thing: mighty mums make mighty men. Isn't that true?
There you go.
Just going to write that down. Get that. Stick that hashtag on.
Absolutely.
Sal, thanks very much.
You're welcome.